Researchers finally solve Amelia Earhart mystery. There are many influential women in the world today, and there have been many in the past. Amelia Earhart is one woman at the top of the list. Amelia was a pilot and was the first woman in history to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean. When her plane vanished, archaeologists and historians made it their life's work to figure out what happened to the pilot. There have been many rumors over the years, and one professor believes he's found the key to Amelia's disappearance and the development surrounding it. If you wonder what happened to Amelia and her plane on that fateful day, you're in for a real treat. The mystery unravels. After Amelia Earhart became the first woman in history to fly across the Atlantic, she attempted a flight around the world in 1937, vanished, and was never heard from again. After years of wondering and speculation, a group of researchers may have finally unlocked the secrets to Amelia's disappearance 85 years ago, and the mystery may finally be solved. A new breakthrough. Finally, after 85 years, Professor Richard Jantz, a professor at the University of Tennessee, has made a discovery that may prove a popular theory about the pilot and many other theories surrounding her disappearance. What happened to the plane? The location of Amelia's plane is a mystery people have been trying to unlock for years. Amelia was flying a Lockheed Electra aircraft that day, which had never been discovered. In 1991, a group of scavengers unearthed a part of what they believed to be part of the wreckage of the female pilot's plane. The International Historic Aircraft Recovery, also known as TIGAR, found the aluminum piece they believed to be part of her plane on the island of Nikomororo. The group's executive director, Rick Gillespie, announced in 2014 that scientists believe this must have been part of Amelia's plane. Further evidence. The group's findings impressed many people when revealed, but many critics were skeptical about Rick's announcement. One critic said facts are necessary to back up opinions like this, and Rick didn't have the facts to back up his statement. The critic didn't know that the team also found an ointment pot resembling Dr. Barry's freckle ointment. Rick believes that Amelia's freckles and the fact that she thought her freckles were unattractive are further proof that the wreckage is likely from Amelia's plane. Lost at sea? The United States official position regarding Amelia's disappearance is that she ran out of fuel during her trip around the world and crashed in the Pacific Ocean. Her plane never made it to Howland Island, where they believed she'd fuel up. To this day, search teams make expeditions to Howland Island and the area around it in search of her plane, and there's only one theory. A true story or just a tale? An American Coast Guard member named Floyd Kitts told a story in 1960 about a story he had heard 14 years earlier. He was told that a man was walking on Nikomororo and came across a skeleton in the brush about 15 feet from the shoreline. The shoes attracted the man to the remains because they were American women's shoes. For years, researchers wondered if the story was true, if it was Amelia's body the man came across, or if he was just another guy looking for recognition for finding the long-lost pilot's body. Mysterious bones. In 1940, a rescue team looking for the missing pilot discovered bones on the island of Nikomororo in the Pacific Ocean. They were determined to find Amelia's remains and were sure the bones they found belonged to her because the island was very close to her flight path. With today's forensic technology, scientists could finally answer the question. Were they Amelia's remains? When the bones were found in the 40s, scientists did everything they could to uncover the identity of the bones discovered. They hoped to prove they belonged to Amelia, but the signs said otherwise. The distinctive features of the bones led scientists to believe the bones belonged to a man. Since forensic analysis has become more advanced, new studies have provided new results. The photo. This image led researchers to believe that the Japanese captured Amelia during her flight across the Pacific. It was thought that Amelia and her flying partner, Fred Noonan, were in this photo of Joliet Harbor of the Marshall Islands. Amy B. Wang, a writer for The Post, referred to the person sitting by the docks facing away from the camera and believed it was Amelia. They think the person had the same body type and haircut as the missing pilot. This photo is a source of great debate even today. A dangerous road to making history. On May 12, 1932, Amelia became the first woman to fly non-stop across the Atlantic by herself. Achieving her goals put Amelia in danger. At one point, about 4 hours into the flight, Amelia got into some trouble. She said she saw flames shooting from the exhaust pipe and became uneasy. It would have taken 4 hours for her to return, so she believed it would be safer to go ahead even though the fuel tank was leaking. A safe landing. Although things looked bleak for Amelia during her attempt to cross the Atlantic Ocean, fate was on her side. Precisely 20 hours and 40 minutes after leaving Trepassey Harbor, Newfoundland, Amelia arrived at Pwyll, close to the Bury port in South Wales. Amelia said she scared most of the cows in the neighborhood and pulled up to a farmer's backyard. The farmer asked how far she'd flown, and she told him she'd come from America. The trip that changed everything. During Amelia's flight across the Pacific a decade later, there were very different consequences compared to her trip 10 years earlier. She was already the first woman to fly across the ocean from Honolulu to Oakland, California. Amelia and her flying partner, Fred Noonan, were able to raise $80,000 to attempt a trip around the world. The pair did well, successfully flying 29,000 miles. Sadly, their good luck ended on the last stretch from Lae, New Guinea, where they had just 7,000 miles to go. Never heard from again. Amelia and Fred had communication problems with their next fuel stop in Itasca on July 2, 1937. Before setting off, the pair were told that the weather would be pretty mild. Unfortunately, clouds appeared in the night sky, making it challenging for Fred to navigate with the stars. The last time anyone heard from the pair was at 8:43 a.m. when Amelia said, "We're running north and south." Sadly, the pair was never heard from again. Feminist icon. Most people can agree that Amelia Earhart is one of the most influential women of all time, if not the most influential. Amelia wrote in the last letter before embarking on the flight across the Pacific, "Women must try to do things as men have tried. When they fail, their failure must be a challenge to others." Her early life. Amelia was born in 1897 to Edwin and Amy Earhart. She was born in her grandfather's home, federal judge Alfred Gideon Otis. Amelia was a blessing to her parents, as their first child was stillborn. She had a younger sister, Grace, who looked up to Amelia and considered her to be her hero. Amelia went by a nickname carried with her into adulthood, and friends and family called her Mealy. Her sister went by the nickname Pidge. Her mother wanted her children to find their own identity and do things their way, and raised the girls this way. Amelia loved adventure. Amelia loved adventure her whole life, which started when she was a child. Amelia and her sister would go on mini adventures in their neighborhood, such as hunting rodents, sliding down hills, and climbing trees. She had a reputation as a tomboy and did things girls her age normally didn't do, and she always dreamed of flying. The first flight. Amelia's taste for flying started when her uncle made a roller coaster similar to the one she'd gone on as a young child. Amelia took off from the ramp, gliding off, and flew. The future pilot ripped her dress and injured her lip, and she still described the experience as exhilarating. When Amelia got up, she told her sister, "Pridge, it's just like flying." Her childhood dream. Amelia was an independent girl. She often went on adventures by herself and kept newspaper articles about successful women. The first time the future pilot boarded a plane, Amelia knew she wanted to be a pilot. She worked as a truck driver to pay for flying lessons and flew for the first time in 1921. Education. Amelia didn't go to school like most girls her age. She lived with her grandparents as a child and was homeschooled by her mother. Amelia loved to read and spent a lot of time in her family's library. In 1909, Amelia and her sister could finally attend a real school when Amelia was 12, and she entered the 7th grade. Pilot's license. A year after Amelia's first flight, she took her Yellow Canary and flew 14,000 feet in the air, which was the world altitude record for a female pilot. In light of her record, the world governing body for aeronautics gave Amelia her official pilot's license in 1923, and she was the 16th woman ever to be given one. She set another record when she became the first woman to fly coast to coast across the United States. Amelia married her publicist. As Amelia became a public figure, she needed a publicist. She started working with George P. Putnam, and the relationship went from business to romance. The pilot played hard to get at first, and George had to propose 6 times before she finally said yes. She wanted to remain an independent woman, which had something to do with refusing George's proposals. The pair married in 1931, but Amelia decided to keep her maiden name. When the New York Times published the headline, "Mrs. Putnam flies Atlantic in record time," Amelia wrote to the publisher to correct her about her last name. She asked that from that day forward, the newspaper refer to her as Amelia Earhart. She wanted to be known professionally without her husband's name. Urban legend. Many urban legends surround Amelia Earhart, and the most popular was that she was a spy. According to the story, President Franklin D. Roosevelt sent Amelia on a secret spy mission. After successfully completing the mission, the pilot returned to the United States, and as part of her deal, she would live the rest of her life as Irene Bolam. This is just one of many urban legends, and there are no facts or evidence to back it up. A perfect match. Rick Jantz believes the bones belonged to Amelia Earhart. The bones were forgotten after being analyzed in 1940, and Rick inspected them using a collection of photos. Even though he didn't have the actual bones, Rick was sure he could process the images through a computer program designed to work out the ancestry and gender of a person. Using the measurements of the bones and the photos, Rick compared them with Amelia Earhart's height and weight in 1937. He used information from documents about Amelia and photos of the pilot to determine if the remains belonged to her. After close inspection, Rick concluded that the remains did belong to Amelia Earhart. Is it true? Researchers finally solve Amelia Earhart mystery. If Rick is correct, and those are the remains of Amelia Earhart, it means that Coast Guard member was telling the truth about finding a skeleton in the 1960s, and Amelia and Fred died as castaways on the island. Although there are still many theories about what happened to her, Rick believes he's correct unless another woman with the same physical features and background was also stuck on the island. But that would be an incredible coincidence. Although there are skeptics, Rick's is the best theory so far.